Okay, it's 2:20. We'll go ahead and get started. Hi, everyone. My name is Nicole Ramirez. I am a digital marketing professional with 10 years experience in content marketing, process management, and personalized strategy. I am the owner of NR Digital Consulting, where I have worked with many different industries on marketing automation, customer journeys, website management, social media, and content strategy. I started out as a journalist, and I am an avid public speaker and consultant for businesses to become brands. Today, I am going to discuss the pandemic and the effect it has had on digital marketing to date and how it will continue to have an effect down the line. The recent outbreak of COVID-19 across the world has taken a toll on multiple countries and almost every industry. While the world is beginning to open back up, there is discussion amongst marketers on how this will affect marketing spend and tactics. I am going to talk about the different industries affected by COVID-19, both positively and negatively, the digital channels that are thriving at this time, how to tell a brand story during this sensitive time, and the job market outlook for digital marketers. Most industries have seen a huge drop in traffic over the past few months, except for the financial space and the news industry, where traffic has increased tremendously. The least affected industries were some insurances and real estate investment trusts, or REITs. The most affected industries were airlines, casinos and gaming, leisure facilities, auto parts and equipment, and oil and gas. No surprise, but the travel industry was hit the hardest. Even with the major discounts, many flights were canceled, and the ones that were not, many people were too afraid to travel. E-commerce sites can be a toss-up. Places that offered essential items such as hand sanitizer, toilet paper, baby products, face masks, etc., had an increase in traffic, while things like the fashion industry decreased, as many people were and are working from home or were laid off altogether. Media sites, especially those who charge to read content, saw a lift in traffic due to demand for information about COVID-19. Many industries are going to come out of this with a very different business model. One of those being grocery shopping. Grocery stores were one of the big ones that had to really shift their online ordering processes and apps quickly. Projects like CRMs and apps that may have been on the radar, but maybe a second thought for businesses, became an overnight priority. Early research is actually suggesting that over 50% of people who did online groceries during this time, whether it be pickup or delivery, will continue to do so. Myself included, as I've never realized the joy of not having to go grocery shopping until all this happened. So let's talk about the digital channels that were affected and which ones you should be utilizing right now. Even before COVID-19, 92% of companies reported that their business models would need to change, according to McKinsey research. 35% of Gen Zers use video chat for the first time, and 6% for boomers. 54% of households with greater income than $100,000 tried online streaming for the first time. For those less than $50,000, it was 35%. Now, we are going to see a major shift in the acceleration of digital coming to the forefront of strategies for businesses. This pandemic truly showed how vulnerable companies can be to the slightest change in how people are consuming ads and buying products, as we saw with the major shift in how we do things now. The biggest change I've seen right now is that paid ads are cheaper because it's on an auction system. The cause of this being that businesses pooled their spend when all this happened, and therefore competition is lower, but traffic is up. So currently, paid ads are producing a much higher ROI during this time than before. When it comes to B2B, digital interaction has doubled compared to the usual traditional marketing channels. Of course, you've all seen the COVID-19 email announcements from companies that you had no clue you were even on their email list. But that actually helps many places stay top of mind right now. However, many had to follow up afterwards, and this is where you can be at a disadvantage, which I'll address later. Post-COVID-19, bidding strategies are going to change. Keywords and targets that worked before may not work afterwards. Rethinking PPC strategy is going to be a must for targeting. Device strategy may look different. You may notice that in this time, your mobile traffic has decreased because many people are spending more time at home on their laptops and desktops instead. That may or may not shift back up for you, depending on your business. Keep an eye on mobile traffic trends and adapt messaging accordingly. Another change will be Google My Business listings. Right now, due to people sheltering in place, GMB is down 59%, but that'll start to trend upward as brick and mortar begins to reopen. So with all that said, here is what I've been suggesting for my clients during this time. Content audit and review creative. Make sure that your content is up to date, on brand, and sensitive to what's going on. I will talk more about this in my next section of my presentation about brand storytelling and how to make sure you're not being tone deaf during this financial crisis. Update your keyword research to increase your SEO. Enhance your call to actions and marketing messages. Work on relevant and useful content such as presentations, webinars, infographics, and ebooks that are resources to your customers. And if you are selling a product, I suggest introducing installment plans with something like Affirm. Those are payment plans so that people don't feel like they have to fork over as much money all at once. And it's actually been shown to boost conversions 12%. Rework your analytics. At this time, you will need to reevaluate your past results, current goals, and where you are sharing your content. At any other time, I would never suggest doing a day-to-day report of analytics, and instead I would do monthly reports. But at this time, with things changing so drastically and the uncertainty, I suggest keeping a closer eye on day-to-day analytics, starting from probably the beginning of March, and watch your trends. This can tell you which channels are your highest converting. And shift your budget to digital. Right now, you should account for digital consumption increasing and to shift the spend to digital channels and away from traditional marketing such as event marketing, trade shows, and other traditional out-of-home experiences. Video content, podcasts, and social media are going to be your best ones to invest in during this time and have the highest rate of engagement. Keep an eye on cost fluctuations across paid social media. At the beginning of everything shutting down for COVID, there was a major drop in CPMs, or cost per 1,000 impressions, as businesses pulled their advertising dollars at the same time that social media usage shot up. However, now is a good time to start reinvesting dollars into your conversion-driven channels. This goes back to what I said earlier about relooking at your analytics, and I would concentrate probably on Facebook and Instagram. Another major tip I have, speaking of social media, is to know what channels are best for your business. And it is not TikTok. While TikTok is huge right now, it doesn't fare well for most brands. While it typically works well for influencers, it's not the right platform for selling, though it's definitely entertaining. Speaking of entertaining, let's talk about telling your brand story. As I talked about before, you will need new ways to tell your story. And that means by changing the way you share it, whether that's through video production, webinars, Zoom Hangouts, and other digital platforms. It also means rethinking your brand story and messaging. So what I suggest is building your trust with your customers, and here's how I suggest you do it. Show you understand. The worst thing a brand can do during this time is to ignore what is going on or keep messaging the same, as it seems a little tone deaf, and you will lose customers by looking out of touch. Your customers want to feel heard, which means letting them know you are aware that things are not easy right now. If you are e-commerce, I suggest shifting product selling to things that are relevant now And no, that does not mean you need to sell face masks. Some of the best I've seen are clothing brands focusing on comfortable work from home attire, and other companies advertising for things that making work from home more comfortable, like office equipment and comfortable work chairs, or at-home work exercise equipment. Tell you care. Let your customers know that you are there for them, but please do not say we are all in this together. Not only is it overused and seems too generic, it's also incorrect. Some people are suffering more than others, and it seems inconsiderate. You can use messaging that you know times are hard on different levels for everyone without grouping everyone together. Probably one of the worst things I saw were companies emailing people only one time and then never emailing them again. It just means they probably felt obligated, or at least it looks that way, to send something because everyone else was. Foster that relationship with your customers during this time and after. It's the opportunity to do that, so don't miss it. Be transparent. If you are selling, make sure to be transparent if shipping is going to be longer or inventory is backed up. So many people have the Amazon mindset that things should be here in 2 days or less, and they could get upset if they're waiting. As long as they know up front, most people will be understanding during this time of having to wait a bit longer for their package. And the last one is add value. How you handle messaging during this time is going to determine how your customers react with you moving forward. If you are engaging with your loyal subscribers and adding value to their lives at this time through thoughtful content and meaningful campaigns, then you will stick out amongst competition. This includes how you treat your employees at this time as well for businesses who run their own business. It's how you're supporting them. Customers are not only looking at how you're reacting and interacting with them, but they look at how you handled this internally. The best marketing is to treat your workers with respect. One of the best ones I saw was Texas Roadhouse spent $10 million during the early days of the shutdown to help employees through the crisis. The CEO even donated $5 million of his own money to assist. While they still took a hit, as all restaurants did, the good press had customers loyal to doing pickup and helping a restaurant that helps its employees. Unfortunately, some companies didn't handle it as well. Sephora actually received a lot of backlash after laying hundreds of people off suddenly via video conferencing. Just not a good look. So that brings me actually to my next topic, the job market. It's the last thing I want to address, and it is important because COVID-19 has not just made it difficult for our customers, but us as digital marketers. Many of us were laid off, furloughed, or had our pay cut. It was something that truly hit all of us, and it changed the job market to open more opportunities for remote work, since we are now seeing that remote working can be successful, which I think most of us already knew from that, but it apparently took a pandemic to show the companies. So what you can do now, right now, I suggest utilizing the online resources available. Harvard and other schools have actually started offering some free courses, and others have given major discounts for their classes. Take the LinkedIn certifications on things like Google Analytics, Google AdWords, SEO, refresh your skills. Biggest one I can say right now is use your network and reach out to those in the industry, especially if you are out of work and looking for opportunities. People are your best in for jobs. When you do have an interview, address the layoff or furlough right off the bat if that's happened to you. This is an unusual time in your career where a gap in your resume is no surprise to anyone, as this affected everyone. So in summary, my best advice during this time for brands and digital marketers is to rethink strategy and adapt. Digital marketing has had an advantage of being able to be anywhere at any time with mobile and show return on investment. As we adjust and the world stabilizes, so will the analytics and the new behavior patterns will emerge. Change is always necessary when it comes to digital, so make sure to be ahead of it, not behind. Thank you for listening. I'd like to now open the floor for any questions that you may have in advancing your digital marketing at this time. I like the comment about updating and creating content. That's probably one of the most important. Looking at what's your advice to marketers about leveraging various perspectives. Diversity has become a major point of focus. What's your advice to marketers about leveraging various perspectives? It's a great question. I mean, it's a difficult one. That's, times are really different now. And so I would probably suggest, reaching out to the network, as I said. I mean, diversity is super important right now with everything going on. And that goes a lot back to the messaging I said. Companies who were speaking up during this whole movement had to be really careful with their messaging, but also, supportive. And I think that showed a lot for diversity and how people treated their employees at that time. Any tips on businesses selling products that are completely unnecessary now? Yeah, that's a good. So basically products that are completely unnecessary right now. So for e-commerce, like I said, with shifting things over, but as long as you're talking about messaging that is, okay, you may not be using this now, or just shifting your ads to things that might be a little more relevant, I don't think it's a problem. You don't look completely out of touch when you're selling your own products that you've been for forever, even if they aren't relevant right now. But I definitely would be careful with how you're saying it, not like, hey, going to the club this weekend. So I would probably just continue to do your ads and stuff. But I think now is the time to really look at your analytics and maybe rewrite your content during this time. I know that's not the best answer because there's so many businesses that are struggling right now. Specific courses to help critical skills in SEO and analytics. Yeah. Okay, so the best courses, I would say, I really love Udemy because it's a big one that you can look up multiple different things. LinkedIn's really stepped up their game with LinkedIn Learning. I really like SEO off of Udemy. If you go to my website, nrdigitalconsulting.com, I will post a blog about all the best classes to take right now. So that's really a really good question. Communicate there. How should digital marketers communicate their value to clients in the coming months? My biggest thing I would say is be up at the forefront of everything. These are the things that are basically the ebooks, the presentations, the webinars, offer content and value during this time that is going to be useful to people. And I know that means getting creative for your different brands, but you need to be adapting to this new world that we're living in. I think webinars and big things like these conferences online are a huge way to be right in front of your customers and showing value. Now, granted, that depends on what you're actually selling or giving away, but I, during this time, did an ebook that I gave for free about starting a podcast, since I run one, and did completely for free. So programming language that would be help on digital marketing career or trivial. Your biggest thing is to have an HTML background and CSS. After that, it is just a bonus if you know JavaScript or Python. I think that's a lot for the web developers. But if you have, basically everyone is looking for having some sort of HTML background. Oh, thank you, Jacqueline. That's great. Yeah, Academy is a big one too. That's perfect. All right, we have one more minute. I want to thank everyone. If you have any more questions, feel free to email me at nrdigitalconsulting@gmail.com. I will be happy to answer any questions. I appreciate you listening today, and hopefully you found some value out of the talk that I gave. All right, thank you, everyone.